This is Dabu7 with an Underground World News exclusive interview with J Rath. And
What's
this is
up, guys? How's it going?
glad to
I'm very
finally have you
excited.
on the show. Yeah, man. Why don't you tell everyone just a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name's J Rath. My real name's Jeremy Rath. That is my real name. I'm born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, as you can see. Grew up doing funny stunts, kind of jackass videos, and I basically moved to LA to pursue my acting and music. And I've been on different TV shows, movies, and I performed with everyone from Justin Timberlake to Enrique Iglesias to Craig David, Pink, whole bunch of people. So that's basically what I
Heavily
do.
involved in the entertainment world. And how was you saying again? You had a tape put together. You handed the tape off to who? And
Yeah.
then it.
Well, that's basically where I realized that anything you put your mind to, you can really do. Is because when I got started in this whole thing, I didn't know I was wanted to be anything entertainment. I just knew I was the class clown in school, and I liked being in the center of attention. So we would do kind of jackass type stunts, but we got our influence from the Tom Green show back in the day. And I would have two VCRs because we didn't have a computer that you could edit on. I would take two VCRs and a little 8mm digital 8 camcorder, and I would edit the videos with basically a pause button, and they would just be stupid videos of me and my friends. And then what I would do is, I was a dancer and I was kind of music, so I would put me kind of dancing in the middle of everything. So they'd be like, oh, this guy has talent too. This is crazy. But back in the day, my girlfriend at the time, she was like a huge NSYNC fan, and I wasn't even into boy bands at the time. I got into boy bands actually as a dare, and we'll talk about that later. But I put together the video, and I took her to the NSYNC concert. So everyone's like, there goes Joey Fatone's brother from NSYNC. So I had two of my videotapes, and I gave him one of my videotapes, thinking nothing of it. And he said, "Okay, thanks." The next day, I get a call from my mom, and she says, Justin Timberlake and Joey Fatone called last night, and they said they watched your videos 8 times on the way to the next city. They couldn't stop laughing. Here's their phone number, and they want you to come out and meet them in Orlando. So I was like, are you serious? I thought it was a joke, So then next thing I know, I go out and meet all of the members of NSYNC who are like, they sold 2.4 million records at the time. And I'm like tripping out. I'm like, this
Yeah,
is
at that
crazy.
point, they were absolutely huge.
Yes. Yeah. Like 2001, I think this was 2000-ish. And yeah, they were absolutely like, and the craziest part is when I go out to meet them, they're more excited to meet me than I, they're like going crazy. They're like, oh my God, this is the guy from the video. And I'm like, is this like, I couldn't believe the reaction I was getting, So I was like, this is like, when I first met Joey, actually, I went to Joey's house and they wanted to surprise him. So he wakes up, he's like a celebrity in my eyes. And he wakes up and just walks out into the living room and sees me. And he's like, oh my God, the guy is in my house. He and he calls up, he's like, Lance, the guy from the video is in my house right now. So then I ended up meeting all of them. But next thing you know, I'm on stage with them. They put me on stage in front of like 30,000 people. And it was crazy. And then I actually got into an MTV show called Who Knows the Band, which was on in the early 2000s. And it was like a game show of who's lying and who really knows the band. So that was pretty cool too. But that's basically how I got started. And after I did that, I realized, man, if these guys are this big and they're interested in meeting me, I was like, man, I could really do anything with whatever I want to do if you put your mind to it. So I really believe in that.
Yeah, you can. You can do whatever you put your mind to.
Yeah, for sure.
So then you made
And I started watching your videos when the Malaysia flight disappeared, and I was like, man, this guy really knows what's up. So I love all your videos. I watch every single video you post. So
I appreciate that, man. Try to stay on top of it, and it's it's crazy because I know that you're in LA now, and you also dabble in the UFC world
yes,
and all that. And
look, actually, I didn't even show you that. I'm wearing a UFC shirt right now.
I want to ask you some questions there too because I had a little bit of background. I spent years in MMA too myself. Many people don't know that. I don't talk about it a whole lot.
I never knew that. Yeah.
It's hey, that's what these interviews are for. Get out some
Yeah,
information
exactly.
like that. Yeah, I used to run with the circuit one of my buddies ran called Absolute Action MMA, and it was based out of Northern Kentucky, but they would go around the tri-state of Cincinnati trying to do some fights, and they'd have big ones at Turfway Park in Florence, and they'd go in and take over the racetrack insides and gut it and put up the octagon, and they'd have their fights. Well, in doing it, I got into a position where I was the walkout guy. I taped everybody up, taped up all their gloves, walked every one of them out to the ring.
Oh.
And that's what I was doing every time. You know,
oh, that's sweet.
I was doing it all as a favor for my buddy, just because he needed extra hands on deck. Me and my other buddies were working security and everything else. But we got to meet a lot of really cool people. Got to meet George Gurgel. And then I got to meet Cyborg.
Oh, okay.
That was really awesome, meeting her, because she's really sweet.
She is. She actually likes a bunch of my posts, and she doesn't follow me, but I'll see like Chris Cyborg liked your photo.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome right there. Yeah, and I got to meet her, doing that, and then also some circuit fighters from around the area. One was Slaughterhouse Smith, Chris Smith. He got killed in a car crash, and he was really good friends with a current UFC fighter named Dom Steele.
Okay.
Dom Steele.
I've heard of him.
He was in the crash with him. They killed him.
Oh.
They crushed us, man, because that camp.
Whoa.
He was the heavyweight champion too at the time when he died.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was because he was like the top prospect that we thought was going to advance into the UFC, and he was like, he overshadowed Dom. Dom. It was all the talk was about him. It was about Chris, because he was just such an ominous. He was a big giant, but he was the friendliest, most caring, loving type of dude. Funny to be around.
And that's exactly why I love hanging out with fighters, because like they're the baddest people on planet Earth, but they are like probably the nicest people you'll ever meet. And even like that story you just said, like you think about how life is like in a car crash. It's like life is crazy.
Yeah, and you're never promised tomorrow, so you must take advantage of every opportunity that you got out there.
Yes.
And just some of the images I've seen you with people here. I've seen you with Carrie Underwood, Timberlake, Tyrese,
Timberlyn,
Tiffany Thyssen.
Yes. She's actually a really sweetheart.
Seen you with Joe Rogan.
Yep.
Cody Garbrandt.
That's where we need to get you, Dabu. We need to get you on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Well, you know what? If you can pull some strings and make it happen,
that just clicked to me right now.
Like, that's a good show.
Dude, that would be awesome.
Yeah, well, we have to extend the olive branches and see what happens.
Absolutely. And he's always at the Laugh Factory. And actually, I have a friend that is friends with him. Like, they talk. So, actually, that's how I met him. She's like, hey, Joe Rogan got us free tickets to go to his show and everything. So she took me out, and I got to meet him and hang out with him for a little bit. And actually, I forgot his name, but do you remember the announcer from Strike Force, the commentator? He does he did Pride.
If I have to, then of course I'd have to.
I'm sure you've heard him. Yeah, but he was with him too. I forgot his name. It's Morrow, maybe something like that. But super nice guy. So yeah. We if you come out to LA, we'll go to one of his shows, and then I'll introduce you to Joe, and I'll be like, you got to check out his stuff. So we'll get you on the podcast.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've seen you hanging with some of the champs out there, Cody Garbrandt,
Ohio boy. Yeah.
I think I even seen you were there with, Blessed.
Yes.
Holloway.
I just posted that one. The shout out to Blessed, man. That's, new 145-pound champ.
I mean, yeah, he dismantled.
Did you watch that fight? Did you see that one?
I seen it, and that was crazy because,
man,
it was. I think it's just the time, the changing of the guard. You're seeing that.
Yeah,
there are new hands and everything. How has that affected the people that you see? Is there a change in how they view it?
Well, the biggest change is, before the UFC sold, no one could put a value on anything. So all of the fighters, they didn't know, a lot of fighters to make $40,000, which is really not a lot of money for fighting on TV. you know, $40,000 to show up, 40,000 to win. And that's if you've been in the UFC, like, you know, 3, 4, 5 years.
Right.
So now that the company sold for that $4.2 billion, it was the highest ever, the highest sports deal ever. So now they're like, well, hey, if I'm only making $40,000 and you just sold this company for, you know, that amount of money, I should be getting paid more. So all of the fighters are really bitching about everything right now. Especially, I don't know if you heard, but the Demetrius Johnson, he's the 125 pound champ. He's the flyweight.
Yeah.
He's always just real low under the radar, never complains, and he just put out this huge thing blasting the UFC.
I've seen that. Now you've had the unique chance to meet a lot of different UFC fighters, and especially you're good friends with the Diaz brothers.
Yes, I am.
And
Nick and Nate, 209 represent.
That's you're in Ohio right now.
Yeah, I'm in Cleveland right now. I came out here to so I'll just tell you guys too. I'm adopted. I never met my birth parents my whole life, and they just passed a law here in Ohio that says if you're over 18, you can get a copy of your birth certificate, because I was adopted through Catholic Charities, and it's a closed adoption. So I've never known anything about anybody in my bloodline. I've never met one person with my blood, you know, that I remember anyways, you know. I was adopted when I was 6 months old. So I sent in the paperwork, got my real name back. I was born David Michael Keeby. It's like Keebay. And then I posted it actually on my Facebook, and somebody hit me right back and said, hey, I found her address. Here it is if you want it. So I all my friends were like, you should call her first. What if she doesn't want to meet you? I'm like, I'm a grown ass man. If she doesn't want to meet me, oh well, you know, I'm just going to go there and see what happens. So I actually have it on video too, and I'll send it to you. I have the first time I went to her house and met her. I videotaped it. But so I go to her house, just knock on the door, and I'm like, hi, my name is Jeremy, and I'm your son. And she's like, she looks at me, and she said at first she was like, no, I mean, you know, you look exactly like us. So we're cool now. I'm friends with my birth mom. She's actually met my adoptive mom, you know, who's my real mom because she raised me. And you know, they're cool. So today I came in and I met my mom's brother, so it would be my uncle for the first time today. So it was really cool.
Heck yeah.
Nice people. Yeah, really cool.
Wow.
But I always thought it was crazy because, you know, I grew up not knowing one person in my bloodline. I'm like, and my life has been really crazy. Like I said, like anything I want to do, I've done. I mean, if I think it, I can really do it. So
it's crazy because I deal a lot with protesting and stuff like that, and the madness in the streets. Here recently, I don't know if you ever met Jake Shields or not.
I have.
Have you?
Yeah, I kicked it with him.
Heck yeah.
I was the story I just told you. I met him probably the very next week after I took that class in Las Vegas, and I was in Nick's room, and Jake came up, and see, Nick's pretty crazy, and he'll wrestle with you and fight with you. He loves to like teach people stuff. So he teaches me stuff all the time, and I'll be like, whoa, that's crazy, you know. But Jake came up, and I told him that story about me blowing chunks on the mats, and he was just cracking up. But yeah, super cool guy, man. And he's beat like so many people, and people don't even know that, you know?
I seen him. He was involved in, I think it was Antifa at Berkeley when all the chaos broke out in the streets. And I saw a clip, and he was just like,
oh, yeah, I saw that.
Get in a fight out there and squab with some dudes.
I saw that. I saw that clip.
What the hell? I'm like what do people, because I've never been to Cali, and they have a lot of action out there in terms of the anti-Trump, like just the protesting. Yeah. And we've uncovered that a lot of it's been backed and supported and funded by billionaires, you know, like George Soros and shit. So it's controlled chaos. You see what I'm saying? They're not taking the protest to the governor's mansion. They're not taking it to where it counts to get the laws changed.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? They're fighting in the streets while the cops sit there and watch. Yeah. And then I seen Jake Shields had to jump in, had gotten a scuffle. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, dude, you know what dawned on? I was like, he's a freaking UFC fighter. These guys don't even know. These Antifa dudes will get their asses whooped down there. And then it dawned on me. I was like, you know what? That's the dream. I was like, y'all, we need a crew. We need a movement. And, you know, it would be nice if we had some fighters like Jake or others, or people just with the mentality Like you said, it's not just the violence of fighting. It's the mind frame. It's the thinking that goes with it. But if you could have that tactical mindset in the streets, we could whoop Antifa and all these fakes and just leave them sitting in the corner of the block, hogtied.
Yeah.
You know,
that's why I like when you'll be on your videos and you'll be like, he's like, if you could talk about it all you want. He's like, somebody's got to do something about it. You're like, if you're not going to do something about it, I'm going to do something about it.
Right. And that's just
that's
crazy.
Maya, by the way.
That just you have my wheels turning right there, man. Like, damn, like we've got to. I seen all that action in the streets, and I seen that they were caught up in it and everything else. I'm like, man, what do they think about all this? Like.
Yeah, I was going to say that's as you would say the world stage.
Right. And you're situated in LA, right?
Yeah, I live in North Hills, which is like I'm probably 15 minutes from Hollywood.
Heck yeah. So how do you like it out there?
Well, to be honest with you, what I would recommend to people, if you're not trying to pursue entertainment industry or anything like that, don't live in LA. Live in San Diego, to be honest, because the thing about LA is it's everyone that you meet is really you're not meeting them, and also they always want, it's not about hey, how are you, like I want to look out for you. It's about what can you do for me, what can you put me into, who can you connect me to. So that's how LA
have you ever had any really shady experiences with industry cats out there?
I mean, the thing that I hate the most about LA, and I mean I understand it too, is just like the people that work on TV shows are like the shittiest people, because they're all not everyone. Okay. I'm not saying everybody, because I work with a lot of really nice people, but a lot of people that work on TV shows, if they're not the director or somebody, usually the directors are the nicest ones. And that's the funny thing, is like, that's why they're at the top, because they get along with everybody. A lot of other people will try to push people around and look down on you, talk down to you, and just are really degrading. Even on like some movie shoots, like I worked on even when I first moved to LA, I was in this movie called Tropic Thunder. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember it.
Yeah, so I was in that little Oscar scene at the end, where they have like everyone's winning awards and stuff like that. And you'll go to eat, and there's non-union and union for people that don't know. And the union is like, you've paid some money and you're in this union. And but for the people that do background, they have to have so many of those people on every show. So when you go to eat, it's like, okay, all the non-union people that aren't like special, they give them like this little box with like an apple and a sandwich, and they'll be like, oh, like they kind of look at you like, oh, look at those people. When all the SAG people have like real silverware and like, steak, so like that, like, people aren't equal. They don't look at people as equal. They look at you as like dirt. And then, we're way up here. And that's how most of the people in the industry are. And I do believe in, all that, I'm not like anywhere near being super famous or anything like that. But, people that are, there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that they've had to do, if you know what I'm saying.
Like in the occult realm and
yes,
and favors.
Like, hey, you're going to come over and you're going to bang me, and all these 13 people are going to watch, and then you're going to get the role. Like
people hear that sometimes, they don't know whether that's true or not, but I'm telling you, it is true.
That's true. Yeah, that's 100% true.
Yeah, that's
like, even I probably shouldn't even say anybody, but like P. Diddy.
Yeah,
like that, I've heard that about him forever.
Yeah,
like,
so
I know
I've even seen interviews
true.
of the guys that have said they ran up in him and everything else.
Yeah, yeah,
openly.
Yeah, they say like he'll call people over and he'll be like, "Hey, come over and watch me bang this chick." Like that is so weird. Like,
well, you've got some crazy people. I mean, the industry's known to have at some of the higher tiers. They have those rings where they have their sex magic parties, and it's tied into their secret groups and everything behind the scenes, and it's there. It's a real deal. But I mean, all the industries are different. They all got their different tiers and levels of things that go on. I mean, you've got Hollywood, you've got the film industry, then you've got the music industry, everything that goes on there. Then you've got the whole sports industry. Everything.
Yeah.
It's all entertainment, so to speak, but different tentacles of it.
Yeah.
And there's some good.
But all of that kind of Illuminati weird stuff that happens in every of those industries. Anything with wherever the money is, there's always stuff like that going on behind the scenes.
Well, brother, I truly do appreciate you coming on here and giving us this interview. And I look forward to talking to you again in the future for sure. So make sure to tell everybody here in the end where to find you on social media. This has been Dabu7 with an Underground World News exclusive interview with J Rath.
Guys, it's J Rath, and I just want to give a shout out and thank you to Dabu. Keep doing your thing, brother. If you guys want to follow me on all my social media, it's going to be at Feel the J Rath, FeelTheJrath. I'd love to hear from you guys, and we'll see you soon. Peace.